Well, I wanted to begin this interview, Gene, by first of all welcoming you to Aaron's Opinion. And as I said last night, thank you for your service. Let's dig right in. Um, so basically, with all of my interviews from all over the world, I basically let the guest, in a sense, take the interview really any way that they might want to. So, where do you want to begin your story? Do you want to begin with when you entered the service? Do you want to begin with that, or do you want to work backwards? I don't know. Where do you want to tell? Where do you want to start telling your life story and blindness journey and all of that? Go right
Well,
ahead.
I think I'll just give it to you when I joined the Marine Corps at an early age of 18. But the screen itself, you have a dialogue box right in the center of it. I don't know if that's going to hurt you or not.
Oh no, that won't really come up. No, that's not visible on the YouTube.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So I apologize. I just wanted to let you know this.
Oh, no problem.
Well, it's funny that we talked last night, and I said, you know what, I put a lot together on that. But I think it was my background as a child that I was born in the city of New York, and there was a lot of issues there going on. And my father passed away in '53, so I was sort of a son without a father and just a mother to raise me. And there was a lot of things that I could have done wrong, but I decided to take a different route uh, in my life. So I joined the Marine Corps, and I said to myself, that life that I seen in 1954 and so on, I want to make a change. So I made a big change. I did a good change. I went to a Seventh-day Adventist school before I went into high school, about 4 years, and went to high school for about a year and a half and so on. And I joined the Marine Corps. And from there on, I took a hold of myself. And I've always thought of myself of being able to do something that I didn't have the opportunity to do it. I got to be successful in it. I knew the Marine Corps was hard, and just like any other outfit, God bless them, they're all special outfits. So I took my shot at it. I passed the test, graduated, went into the First Marine Division. From there on, I was aboard ship in '63 on my way to a place called Vietnam. Uh, that was the year that Kennedy got killed, assassinated, and I was really heartbroken by this. He was like a hero to me. I liked him a whole lot. I don't care what issues he had. I thought he was doing the right thing. And got to Vietnam with all of these things behind me, and I got into an outfit with a group of guys that the Invincible Group, if that's what you want to call it. I think that's what I want to call it. Uh, Guys that I can't see now because they're far away. Some of them are set back in their hooches, I call them, their homes, and they don't communicate. I'm a person that like communicate. I've communicated with several of my friends from Vietnam, but the thing that I think is more important of all was what I did in Vietnam. In Vietnam, I operated in Operation Harper's Moon, Operation Triple Play, Hastings, and several other operations. Uh, Starlight was the biggest operation that I heard of before I got to Vietnam was going on, and I guess I got a tail end of that. But in 1966, February 20th, at 7:20 in the evening, I was back from one of my patrols that I was assigned to, and that was going to be probably my last patrol in my whole life. I would assume to what happened to me. I ended up running into a booby trap. The booby trap went off. It hit two of my men. Plus, it hit me real bad. I caught a piece underneath my right earlobe, and it went up towards my top of my ear on a side of my head. I can't tell you exactly where it's at, but at times it gives me terrific headaches, and I have a ringing in my ear forever. But I heard one thing while they were working on me in Nang. It says, we can't get this out. If we try to get it out, he's going to die. At that point, there was this individual that was coming towards me, walking towards me. He was dressed like a clown. I thought he was a clown for sure. He got to me and he says, son, I'm going to give you your last rites. I looked at him and I said, get out of here. I'm going to live. And I passed out. 2.5 weeks later, almost 3 weeks, I was out in a wheelchair, and who was standing right next to me but that gentleman, Father McDonald. And I didn't recognize him till he says, you know who I am? I says, not sure. I says, I'm that individual you told to get out because you was going to live and you didn't want their last rites. So I made it through that. There was some successful operations that I went through without getting injured. And then there was another one of my operations that I had to eliminate a Viet Cong with the help of my team. I struck him in the head with my butt plate, and I had to dive into the water because they yelled out grenade. I didn't know he was booby trapped. And with my eyes open, I dove into the rice paddy water. If anybody really knows what rice paddy water consists of, especially in that time and era, it consists of animal fluids, garbage, anything you can imagine, human waste, and most of all, Agent Orange. All that is in those waters. And I had my eyes open all the way down to the bottom. I didn't even bother thinking about this. And I could see the bottom was like a glow to me. When I got up from that position I was in, which was about knee high, the corpsman started rushing towards me, thought I was injured. And I said, no, I didn't get hit, but I'm having problems with my eyes. And he looked at it and says, you got some type of a mucus in there. I'll put something on there. So he put something in my eyes and everything was all right from then. But we didn't go into any real depths. As a blinded veteran, hey, I can tell you this much. I have an idea what it is for those that are completely blind. I'm not completely blind. I have no center vision. I operate and I utilize JAWS for a program, screen reading program, and friends like Dan Malone when I need an assistance, or another veteran, Janelle Wolves, who lives in North Carolina. That sometimes we get on TeamViewer and we move in areas that I have to operate because I don't stand still. As a blinded veteran, I'm sort of scared to stand still. And when I see that my eyes make a change, that it sort of closes my mind to say, what's next? I try to forget it and move to another step, and I recover. I try real hard. I don't know, for those that have no eyes at all, and some that were born without any sight, I can understand. But when we're talking about Gene Symes, I see myself that what's going to happen later on to me? Am I going to be able to keep on moving and helping veterans and developing a program to try and get them connected with the representative, which they're very hard, and some you can talk to. It goes in one ear and out the other. And the same thing with Department of Veterans Affairs at times. It's a very hard life that we live. And not saying that the Department of Veterans Affairs is a bad organization. It's a good organization, sometimes the administration. But going back to me and my eyes, I didn't know that anything was going to happen to me. So I got out of Vietnam in '69, and I married in Naples, Italy, and in '69, I bought a home in Fulton, New York, and I didn't know anything was going to go wrong. I worked for Nestle's for 15 and a half years. In those 15 and a half years, I had headaches. my ears rang, but I never had any trouble with my eyes. Then all of a sudden, I started teaching martial arts, and I taught that for a good many years. And back in the 80s, late 80s, I started having trouble with my eyes, and I couldn't recognize that. And that's when it hit me. I had no center vision. I played it really calm, but I guess through that, I sort of just didn't motivate myself to keep moving on to completing what I was doing as a martial artist. I've been to tournaments. I've gave tournaments. I've been with masters, Korean masters in Taekwondo and several other organizations and so on. But at that time in the 80s, I started having problems and I just kept on moving. And then it was somewhere around 1998, 1999, I just stopped. And I guess I was feeling sorry for myself. I'm not a type of person to really try to make that an issue, but it really hit me hard because I figured, well, how am I going to shave? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? I never thought about the others that were worse than me, that didn't have legs and arms and eyes, you know. I give you a good example. Senator Matt Cleveland, he was in Vietnam, and this man lost his left arm, both legs, and he only had one arm. I never thought of thinking about these things until it really hit me. I need to get help. So I went to the VA, and the VA showed me what they had for me, and they gave me instructions. Post-traumatic stress, they knew I had that. I knew I had it bad, and it really got to me. It's not, at times I can't even talk. When I think about what's happened and where I was, I really want to cry. They sent me to Connecticut blind rehab. I didn't really want to go, Eric. Aaron, I didn't want to go at all. I didn't want that place. I didn't want to be amongst that. I said, like, what's going to happen now? They were teaching me how to be mobile, motivate, be able to do things on my own. Then they said, we're going to show you how to use a computer. And I said, oh, God. I looked at the computer, they brought it in, they gave me a little bit of instruction and said, play with the keys. Don't worry about it. I played with it for a while and I just didn't want it. It was hard for me. That wasn't my feel. My feel was out in the boonies, put your boots on, put your pack on, load your rifle and put your helmet on, and you're on your way with your team. I went through a period of trying to motivate myself with a computer to where I had to call my wife, says, I want to come home. And asked me why, and I told her, I says, I can't do this. She says, stay there, try it, keep trying. And I tried a little bit more, but this is where it really brought me to where I'm at. Across the room, there was a veteran that was in there who lost both eyes. And he had something in his hand and he was yelling out for a nurse and nobody was coming. He says, somebody help me. I dropped something on the floor. I can't remember what it was. I don't know. It was a pen that he was maybe trying to relate a marking on something without being able to see or whatever. But I said, I'll be right there. So I walked and I looked at him and I looked underneath the bed. I saw what it was. I crawled underneath there. And when I crawled underneath there, it was horrifying. It was like crunch glass, dirt, and it wasn't clean at all. And I was really bent out of shape. I said to myself, if this guy ever would have got out of bed and crawled on his hands and knees and picked up what he wanted with that in his fingers and put it in those sockets that he had no eyes in it, he would have been in tough shape. So from there on, I says, I'll stay here. I tried. They had a hard time with me, but I tried. I went home with a computer And I met some individuals to show me exactly what they could do and help me and instruct me. And I met Elaine Powers. She was another blinded individual that was born blind. And she walked through walls. This lady was amazing. And I continue with my effort to learn the computer. But the thought of the way when we're blind, people look at us and say, well, he's got help there. But there's a lot of us that are blind that are taken for granted. We can dress up, and sometimes we don't dress up right. We can eat our food, and sometimes it's hard to coordinate ourselves to get programmed into how to do it. And people look at us like we're different people until that time comes where we start putting ourselves in their shoes and saying, we can do anything they can do, we can do. It takes effort. And I started that. I started the effort of being an advocate for veterans, blinded veterans, all veterans, whether they were blind or not, and not even veterans, for all that had a problem because of that one individual. So they took me back and they gave me the instructions. They planted the seed. I played with the computer and I says, okay, I'm still not completely functionable with all the high tech and what it takes to make a computer run. But I had a phone. I have a phone that I can call someone up and say, hey, look, I need help. Could you help me with this? We have many areas that organizations that will help us. Apps that you can call for help, and they're there to see for you, seeing eyes. And that's how I function. Then the thought of, what am I going to do for work? I didn't know. But I got a call once from AMVETS in Buffalo, New York. And they said, Mr. Symes, we'd like for you to come down. We have something for you, and we want to tell you what you had. Well, I didn't know they already gave me a rating of 100% unemployability. So I went up there, and the guy says, Mr. Symes, I got a check for you for $2,500. I said, wow, that's not bad. Then he says, you're going to be 100% unemployable, and now you can send your wife to college and get out of your hair. When he said that, I said, here's your check. I'll see you in Washington. I called Blinded Veterans Association. I talked to a gentleman up there. I says, I need somebody to sit beside me at the Court of Appeal. He said, what do you want to do, Jane? I explained to him. He says, no problem. We got to Washington. I sat there facing the judge. I told the judge exactly how it went. Some organizations are good, but some organizations are crude. And he said, Mr. Symes, we'll get back to you. And about 2.5, 3 weeks, it got to me. I received a check for, I believe it was a little bit over $100,000, permanent, not unemployability, but permanent disabled. And I won my case. I didn't have to fake anything. They saw everything. And from there on, I started becoming an advocate for veterans. I'm not a type of person that reads everything right down to the grid. I'm not a lawyer or an attorney or a judge or anything like this, but I catch what needs to be done. And if I can get a hold of the people to take care of the veterans that need the help, that's what I do. I don't try to be anybody else that I'm not. I'm Gene Symes, 76 years old. I do my best that I can for veterans. I function with the idea that I'm going to get the job done. And if somebody doesn't listen, then I go to the next step. And believe me, I have a lot of representative congressional liaisons that I call upon. And if they don't meet the needs that I have, I do get pretty hard on them because I believe they're just like me. They might get paid a little bit more. We're veterans, whether we aren't blind or we are blind, we deserve what we work for. And we said, we're here for you. And we went to combat zone with him. Went there for myself. I went there for my wife, my kids. I went there for my country. I didn't go there to have a politician tell me, we'll think about it. I didn't go for that. I enjoy my friends that are blind. We have a heck of a time. There's jokes that people wouldn't even think that we say to each other. Well, you know Dan Malone. Dan Malone's a good friend of mine, and we rip each other apart sometimes. But when there's a need that he needs something or I need something, he's right there to watch my back. That's amazing. There's not a hesitation. You know, there's a sense of loyalty, even in a non-veteran, a sense of loyalty, just like he was there with you in Vietnam. Dan lost a brother in Vietnam. He lost another brother several years ago, too, that he loved severely. And the man plays the piano, at least chords, I think, because I hear him play guitar. He can write. He can express himself quite well. And that's what a blind veteran, a blinded individual is. They keep trying. We're not second to nobody. We're second to none. Have any questions?
Absolutely, yes, of course, of course. Well, yeah, Daniel Malone, of course, you know his sense of humor. He gave me a great sense of material. He says, if anyone asks, "Hey, have you been blind? Have you been blind your whole life?" You should always say, "Not yet." You know, that's pretty good. Um, sure. So I want you to know that I'm listening to you, and I hope that although some of the younger people my age are not listening, I hope that they start listening to you, and hopefully others who share your story. I'm sure there are many others, and I'm so pleased to be helping you share yours. So, if there's one, I guess really what I want to get down to is if there's one huge misunderstanding, if there's one huge problem, if there's one primary issue that you would like to solve with the when it comes to advocating for veterans, dealing with the Veterans Administration, dealing with the representatives in the government. What's the one? I mean, I know there's 1,000 different problems and 1,000 different obstacles, but what's the one thing that we need to solve together? I guess that's what I'm asking.
We need to forget that a Democrat, Republican, Independent, liberal, whatever you want to call them, when we were in Vietnam, when we fired that bullet, we weren't none of that. Neither. That was nothing, even in our thoughts. We worked as one. I want them to understand that that's who we are. When they serve us, they don't serve us as a Democrat or Republican. Serve us as an individual to meet the needs that we hired you for. I've been to Congress. There's many times, as I said before, the Cannon House. I've given a chance to veterans to be there with me for meetings, to meet with representatives. I have been at the Senate. I've given PowerPoint presentation, and disappointingly enough, that only one individual out of all the individuals in Congress, in the Senate, that we invited for the PowerPoint presentation to meet the needs of a hospital that's going sour in Los Angeles, and the needs of other veterans and blinded veterans and veterans that have problems trying to get their records, that through special operation, it's not there. They keep saying it's not there. They are owed money and they're not being paid that. I want the representative to understand that just because you're in that position doesn't mean that's your life. That's your life and you run it the way you want to. You have to run it to also listen to the people. And they're not doing that. We have a major catastrophe right now uh, with this administration and other administrations that we've had, and that's sour. That's sour because we are one people. We're not individuals. We're not um, a matter of only one type of color. We're a matter of one type of individual, American. And we should be that so we can serve each other. When one hurts, we should back that other one up, but not to segregate us. And that's what they're doing. I've never seen anything in my entire life as I'm seeing it now. I have lost a lot of respect for a lot of representatives. And my friends that aren't veterans, that are blind, I have a lot of them too, that in their department that they have to go through, there's a lot of hoops they have to try to jump through. And there's a lot of discrimination in those areas too. If we're going to work as one, let's do it as one. Not to fly a flag that's another type than what ours. Ours represents everybody. I'm here speaking to you because that's my point. They're not listening. They say these words to make you feel good. I made this up. It says representatives like to pin a medal on a veteran, makes them feel good, but then they forget you. Well, you know what? That doesn't only hold for veterans; it holds for non-veterans that are crippled, that are blind, that can't hear, that are homeless. They represent, all this represents everybody, that flag. I'm so disturbed by this. You know, when I was telling you about being wounded, I was ready to cry. As I'm thinking back of those guys and gals out there, over 58,000 that lost their lives. It hurts, and it's taken for granted. We lose a life today, it's okay. You know, I think we can beat it, but the only way we can beat it is stand as one. Remember, we're Americans, no matter what color, what we look like, what language we talk, how we walk, or what wheelchair we have, or how we move in a wheelchair, or how we move with that stick that we used to walk with as a blind individual, the cane. Representatives, if you're going to listen to this, or if you even take 1 minute to listen to this, do the job you was hired for. Don't separate us by saying you're a Democrat, Republican, or independent, or whatever. Do the job that you hired us for. Because when we was in Vietnam, we didn't know what it was. All we knew there was one color. That was green, the outfit we wore. We had some misunderstandings, but we still fought as one. That's what I want to relate. I feel bad about this. We work very, very hard, and people aren't getting their needs met in a non-veteran and a veteran itself, because we have representatives that think they're high and mighty. Congressman Cackle has met the needs of the veterans. Lee Slaughter has met it. Many of them has met it, but the majority don't want to meet it. They still want to fight. While they're fighting against each other, we're losing. That's what I got to say, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm in agreement with you. I think I think what you have said is 100% correct. I also agree with you that the points that you have brought up are incredibly disturbing, especially regarding to the government segregation, as you call it. Um, and that's and the most disturbing part of all of this is that's not the only problem we have. We have
No,
and that's and you know you're 100% in the right. And I can also tell you, from hearing how, people younger than me talk, hearing my brother's generation talk, they're talking about all these other weird stuff, that they just had these this younger generation. I know I'm only 30 years old and I'm already saying the younger generation, but this younger generation has some extremely, in my opinion, some extremely disturbing perceptions of what it means to be American. And I'm concerned. I am genuinely concerned that I will tell you that everyone in my family on both sides lives until they're at least 95 years old. Okay. So I could be around for another 60 years easily, 50 to 60 years easily. What America will I have in 50 years? Will it even be an America? That is a genuine concern that I have. Additionally, I mean, I understand you said, that we need to meet the needs of the veterans. I understand what those words mean. Please define for the listeners and me, of course. So, what are the specific needs that are not being met, and what are we going to do to make sure they are met?
Here's the biggest one. It's not a corny to anybody. If everybody in this nation believe in their flag, put it out there. Put it out in every house, every neighborhood, every day. It doesn't have to have a big light to it. Just the light that is out there representing that flag. That makes a big difference. The other part is stand together when we fight. Not fighting in a physical way, but a mental way
Of course.
and a psychological way to let the representatives know they do not run this country. We run it. They were voted in by us, and that's what they have to do. They disregard that totally. That's one of the issues that we need to do. If we stand together as one instead of burn down buildings and break in and all this violence that's going on, we can make it happen. But we can't do it if we don't stand together as one, and that's important. It takes a beacon of light to be lit in the middle of the ocean, and you know how far that light can be seen. People say, "Yeah, you're crazy. You can't see it that far." In a night when the air is calm and the water looks like glass, I've been out there and it's calm. You can see it forever. Imagine that. Well, Gene, I think you're wrong. If I'm wrong, that's fine. But I tell you what, your voice can travel forever if it's together with others. It's not going to do anything if you don't stand together. It's so important here. It really is. It really is. My fight, the fight of others, is try to pull together. It's very, very hard to do this because a lot of the time we have individuals that say we can't fight no longer. We don't want to continue doing this. Let me just live my life and do what's got to be done. But with that, you get children that don't even know the Constitution, don't even know the Bill of Rights, don't even know the Declaration of Independence, don't even know to the Pledge of Allegiance of the flag, don't even care because the iPhone is the most important thing. Fine, let them have the iPhones. Do the iPhones what you want. But remember, this is a country. Without this country, that iPhone's not going to exist. Khrushchev, Nikita Khrushchev, I think it was, said it. We will destroy you from within without firing one round. That's amazing. And look what's happening right now. The majority of individuals that are in this country, the illegal ones, are getting what individuals such as those in need that are Americans aren't getting. They're first to get it. I put a card together with a cartoon on it, and it's called The Swamp Rats of Washington, D.C. And that has a little guy called the Patriot Mouse. It's pointing to a politician. I'm going to send you a card, so I'll get your address later. And that card tells it exactly what it is. In the back of that card, the letter itself there's a little sticker on there, and it says the Swamp Rat Brigades of Washington, D.C. And on the bottom it says, God is in charge. If they could only take that and embed it in their brains, maybe they can understand that God is in charge.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, you are 100%. Yeah, I cannot possibly agree with you more. But I mean, okay, so what are some other specific needs though? What are some specific needs that are not being met right now? You know, you touched and you really hit home the point about the fact that our country psychologically is hurt, is sick. And I agree. But as far as the veterans themselves go, what are their needs that really are not being met that really need to be addressed? What are those specific details?
The specific their needs are the special operation ops that happened during the 60s and the 50s that the veterans went to war combat and they came home and their names aren't even known where they were. There's 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 benefits that they deserve that they're not getting. Okay, that's one. We have veterans that are coming out of Iraq that are coming home to meet the crisis of what's happening with their family. They need to have their needs met. You know, we see organizations that says, "Hey, we do this, we do that. Send us $19, send us this." But you know, out of that $19, how much of that money goes to that or goes to really do the job? Where the same thing you have with DAV, VFW, the American Legion, the Marine Corps League, all these organizations. Right now, the BVA was established in 1952. They have $2.5 million. Okay, is that a lot? That's not really a lot, but that's money. How many other organizations have the same amount of money that they could come together for the needs of the veterans? And I'm saying this, the organization for the needs of the veterans say, we have attorneys, not, they don't have to be afraid of the government. And that's what the problem is. We have a lot of national organizations that cater to what the government has given them, the 501c3 and all this other stuff. So a lot of them, instead of really reaching out and supporting the veterans that are in need, they're not doing it. That's where we have to come together. But as I said before, veterans are tired. So I could try to meet the needs that you're telling me. The only needs I could say is that we have to get together. Veterans have to call out on grassroots veterans and say, hey, we're with you. My organization is called Operation Fire for Effect. Simple as that. And there's other organizations. We could establish a lot of veterans to go to Washington. But then too, you go to Washington, you make a good picture for CNN, for Fox News, CBS, and all these other ones, and it looks good today, and tomorrow it's forgotten. Okay? So I can't answer that question because it's highly impossible. Talk to a politician that has $1 million in campaign money that he hasn't used. He probably has more. The word's going one ear and out the other. I can't answer that.
Sure.
Answering
Right.
it is getting in touch with those grassroots organizations that want to do something and be able to work together as one. A charity program that it gives $19 a month. You know how many people give $19 to a charity organization? Tons of them. It helps. But veterans can't even come up with anything to help themselves. And it's always some organization on the outside. I function with my own money. I don't say that because I want people to feel sorry for me. I don't care. I do things on my own. I don't have very much and I spend a lot, but I leave a little bit so I can do this. You'll see by the card that I sent you because I sent out a ton of them. They have to step up to the plate when they see that. They read it and they go, oh, what does this mean? I had one tell me from New Mexico. I said, didn't you read it? Oh, I saw the outside. They read the inside. You know, there's nothing I can say that is going to cause a magic wand to repair anything that our government has done. But to do this, vote them out. Vote them out. Term policy of 4 years. Vote them out and get new ones. They're so corrupted. You know, it's hard to believe this, that you can't do nothing to these individuals. They just keep, and people love them. But look at what this country is all about right now. We're in trouble. We're in deep trouble. And they keep on doing it. And people go, oh, it's okay. You know, oh, that's not bad. Why are you saying that? Well, look at the clear picture. You know, I'm not fighting for a Democrat or a Republican. I'm bipartisan. Do I favor the Republicans? Do I favor the Democrats? I just gave you that. Louis Slaughter was a lifelong Democrat here in Rochester, a beautiful and excellent politician, 80 some odd years old. None of them can even touch her shoes. You know, Ronald Reagan, none of them can even touch her shoes, and so on. But they don't get this. You give people free things and you control them. Okay? There's a limit to what you give free, but they see how it works and they love it.
Yeah. Or they see that they think that they're getting the things that they want, this younger generation, and they don't understand how expensive it will be when it's completely free.
Absolutely.
That's the problem.
And we see it right, and we see it right now. You know, if you give a person, as you see, they see all the trauma that's going on, but you give them a box of food or you give them $20 and they go, that's okay. I don't want to put that. I've got my $20. I got my food. That's where it goes. It's control, psychological control, and that's what's taking this country apart. Psychologically, that's what's happening. They know how to play the game. Veterans can play the game too if we use our heads. And that people that aren't veterans can do the same thing too. They can combine force with the veterans. Don't say that, well, I'm not a veteran, I can't. Yes, you can, because I support non-veterans too in my organization. That's so important. What hurts me will hurt you. Okay. How long have you been doing this?
Well, I've been doing this for about 2 years. And I got into podcasting because I felt that there just are not enough open podcasters who happen to be blind, who are receptive and listening to guests and are open to creating a really open podcast environment. And that's really what I intend to do and have done here at Aaron's Opinion. And I think one thing that's really easy for people to do, of course, if they cannot read the inside of a car, they might not be able to do this. But, you know, you could always listen to this episode of Aaron's Opinion, wherever you get a podcast, or watch the YouTube video at least. You know, hope that wouldn't bother some of these other people, you know. But, you know, that's one thing. It's just, and it's all about, you know, even not to quote our great friend Daniel Malone too much, but as he would say, you would probably say, I definitely say, one foot in front of the other, just step by step. If we could only move in the right, you know, if we could take one step in the right direction,
Absolutely.
God, or even just one step, even if we have to take 5 steps back, if we could just take one step in the right direction, what a relief that would be.
You know what my wife said? My wife said when I mailed out all these cards, she said, well, what if nobody listens, reads it? I said, if one picks it up, I won.
Yeah, exactly.
I won. I'm going to support this program on my website. I'm going to put whatever information I can get from you, get it to me. I want the non-veterans that are blind to get in touch with me. I want them to unite together. It's not hard. Okay?
No.
They're not going to lose, but uniting together builds strength, and that's how we fight it.
Definitely. And I will certainly give you that information. I tremendously appreciate it. And I hope that people will contact me about this or any episode. Um, I typically do the I typically do the plugs in the intros and outros, but for the spirit of this episode, like any other, I'll tell you that if you have statements that you want to make, if you want to be on the show, call or text 1240 6819869, Aaron's opinion 6 at gmail.com. And it's really easy considering that I'm willing to listen to anyone who's willing to listen to me and contribute a positive episode to this podcast. It would take a lot for me to turn someone away. So you should know that as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion, this is the most open podcast you could possibly be on. And I know there are others, and I'm sure they're great, and they are, but this one that I'm giving you right here is the most open one because I know that to be true because because it's my opinion, so of course it's true, right? If it's an opinion, it's a fact, right? So that's one thing is one step in the right direction is that people need to start listening to people who are knowledgeable like you, people who are informative, and people who care, and you care, and that's why they should listen to this episode. If nothing else, they should listen to this episode. And to those people who won't read the card or won't open the card or won't push play on the video. Well, I'm sorry. I don't mean to hurt any feelings, but you know what? Quite frankly, I don't necessarily want you to listen to this episode then if you're one of those people who won't listen to an episode or won't read a card because that's someone who's just not caring enough. So, I guess I kind of want an audience that cares, I guess at some level. But really, all very extremely good to know and extremely good information. So for one thing that you kind of jumped over on a sweeter note, what did you do for Nestle?
What I do for what?
Earlier, did you say that you worked for the Nestle chocolate
Oh,
company?
I worked for Nestle's
Oh,
Corporation. I worked in the field of operating machines and also helping designate what to do in some areas. I worked there for 15 years, and from there I left that after they decided to close. Nestle's is closed in the city of Fulton, New York, and I started teaching martial arts. And I got into martial arts because a guy that I knew introduced me, and I got uh, involved in it. And I said, I can do this. I've done a lot of demonstrations, stuff that people probably think was nuts. But that's what martial artists do. When you teach a kid something and you get a kid that moves all the way up to an eighth degree, as one of my students called me last month, and says, Master Science is what? I says, I'm an eighth degree now. I says, I can't believe. He says, if it wasn't for you, I would never have done it. My wife's a first degree with me, and she kept on moving through another Taekwondo organization, and she made it up to a third. But you know, those are the the values of life that mean so much. The rewards that you get when people accomplish something and you don't even know it, but says, "Hey, you gave me that start." And that's what we need to do with everybody that's listening here. This is a fine program. And I hope that I can come aboard next time. If you want me, I'll be more than happy to.
of course
I'll
I
bring
do.
a friend of mine from Texas and the issues he's got with his brother in his eyes, but also
Well,
he
let's get
he
let's
runs in
get
the
him.
same
Well, let's
direction.
welcome. Well, let's welcome him. And you know what? Next time when you come back, I'll send the invitation, the Zoom to you and him if you like. So that person's welcome. I would love to welcome them. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, and really that's the power of podcasting now. There's no excuse for saying that, oh, I can't contact this person. No, you easily can. People cannot hide anymore. That's impossible.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, they can't. He's been with me in every place in Washington that I've been in the last 20 years. So you're not going to miss nothing. You're going to have a good story. You're going to see what his brother's dealing with one eye that we had to push to get something to meet his needs. So that's it's he's a good guy. I got to say.
Well let's get him on here. But so now your organization. I believe you said it's OFFE.org, right?
Yep, Operation Fine for Effect. And that's yeah, excuse me. O like an Oscar, F like in Frank, F like in Frank, E like an Echo.org, O-R-G. You
Right.
go to that, open it up. As soon as you open it up, you'll see a picture of on the homepage of Willie Nelson on the top. You hit the button there, and it'll give you the mission statement for Operation Fine for Effect, and category of events and issues and stuff that I've accomplished with veterans, not just me, but with a lot of veterans. And it's been a great ride, but a hard ride. We've accomplished to do a lot, contacting different people because some of them really don't want to keep listening, getting calls from me. But that's too bad. That's too bad. It's a sour note when you have administrations that can't keep VA secretaries for 4 years in a row. It's not good. It's not good. And when you have doctors that are willing to work for the VA, but a lot of them, like they say to me, says, I'd rather be on the floor than sitting back just with the computer. And the pay is, whatever the pay is, I don't know. But that's the problems we have. And, I don't even have to say this to you. I was at the Rochester Hospital Strong, and the people at the desk there knows exactly how the VA operates. And they'll say the VA is a good organization, do good for veterans, but the administration sometimes is not what everybody thinks. So I'm not just the only one that said this, It's there. Everybody knows it.
Sure. And
But it keeps on moving in that direction instead of repair itself.
Yeah. The problem just compounds itself and just gets worse over time. And perhaps with every passing administration of the country, it gets a little bit worse each time. And, then eventually, as I said before, 50 years from now, we're going to have a serious problem.
Oh, big time.
And I don't know what that's going to be, but the problem we have right now is scary enough. But really, I mean, I think we're tremendously limited by, unfortunately, the truth of the matter is you only need one bad person, or one person who's lazy, or one person who doesn't care, to ruin it for the thousands that do. That's probably what's going on. How do I know this? Because I don't work there. I don't know, but I would just guess you only need one or two bad people, and I'm not saying they're evil people by any means or any stretch of the imagination. I just mean that these people are either just accidentally incompetent, or misinformed, either on purpose or accidentally, yet regardless are unable or unwilling to perform the task. It's probably a combination of unable, some incompetence, and some not caring. And you put those two together, you have this mess. Probably. Yeah. Oh boy. Oh boy. Well, so exactly what are your goals for OFFE.org? What projects are
I'm going to tell you, and I know you're not surprised. I'm going to make sure that your voice is going to be heard through OFFE.
I appreciate that.
Okay. And my next accomplishment is that I'm going to send you the card, the first one. The next card is going to be illustrating another politician by the Patriot Mouse, which is going to be really heavy. I used to be able to draw, and I can't draw. So I call on an individual in the Rochester area, as a cartoonist, and I told him what I needed. I says, I need for you to be my eyes. That's all I need. You just listen to what I want, and then from there on, put it together for me. But it's got to be the way I want it. And the man, we worked 1 month. We went through some drafts and blah, 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 and words and blah, blah, blah for the whole illustration, and we did it. So now we're on the road. We build a foundation to make something work. The next one is going to be made in August. I'll be producing that, getting that fabricated the month of August, should be done by the end of August, and it's good. This card that was sent out is not a holiday card. It reflects July, it reflects 1776, but it doesn't, it's not a 4th of July card. Anybody that looks at it might think of it, but if once you read it, you can understand it's not. It's a story that is really shameful that's happening to this nation. One, it says that the illegal aliens are being brought in to harvest votes. Basically, that's what it is.
Sure.
You know, you tell a lie long enough, the illusion of a lie is going to be believed, and that's what's being done.
Right. Right. Or if you believe anything long enough, it is the truth. And
Yep.
that is one of many different problems. Well, wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining me tonight. I really hope that when people listen to this episode, they will really learn a lot from this. I mean, that was a lot of really beneficial information that more people than me need this information and need to have this knowledge. But of course, we've talked about a lot of serious things in this episode, which I certainly didn't mind because this is a meaningful podcast. But as I wind to the end of any episode, I always ask, and I know you're going to give a great answer for this one. I ask any guests this question. I say, so Gene, if you can ask me one question to make me sweat to see if I'm worth my salt as a podcaster, what do you really want to know about Aaron Richmond?
Well, I want to know if Aaron Richmond, and I won't even say that, Aaron Richmond to me is for real. I want to know if Aaron Richmond will consider my support, and as you already said it, but just to confirm it, veterans that throughout the nation might want to come on to your show, I will relate them to you and to give them that opportunity to give their spill on their issue.
1,000 times over, 100% yes.
Thank you so much, Aaron. You just brought goosebumps to my body completely. Must be the Spirit of God, because it's very strong. And I thank you so much. God bless you.
Oh, God bless you too. That is Gene. That is a absolutely perfect way to end the episode.
Semper Fi.
Exactly. But of course, okay. Always give yourself a plug though. So if someone wants to get in touch with you and they care enough to do so, how should they get in touch with you personally?
Well, they can get through my through the website offe.org, Oscar Foxtrot Echo.org, or they can call my office at 315-986-7322. That's 315-986-7322.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, looks like it might have froze there.